And welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam, or it could be Getting Help from Anti-Alabama, because we're going to be talking about legislation or government people that affect you in your everyday life in this state. Senator Will Barfoot, you are the senator for District 25.
Correct.
There's 35 of you running around the state right now represent. It's kind of interesting because when you look at the Senate and you look at the legislature, and the session's ready to start January the 13th.
Right.
You can have bills that are proposed out of the Senate. They have to pass the Senate, then they go to the House, and then it can be vice versa.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So right now, the 35 districts, they're representing the whole state of Alabama.
That's right. 105 House members and 35 senators.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, 3 House members for every Senate district that there is, with some overlap. But yes, the process, as you said, is complex, and good as that it's complex, because a bill can start in any house, work its way through a committee. If it gets past committee, if it gets a vote on the committee and gets passed, then it goes to the floor of that house. If it gets a vote on that house or the Senate floor, a favorable report, then it goes to the other chamber, which that chamber can obviously make changes along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And
then it's got to go back and forth.
Got to go back and
right.
forth to a conference committee between the two, assuming that it passes both chambers. And then after that conference committee, it's presented back to both chambers, and then assuming that it passes that piece of the puzzle, then unless it's a constitutional amendment, it goes to the governor for her signature or veto or executive amendment. And if there's an executive amendment, it comes back. That's right. But it's a good thing that there's some safeguards there.
So this session will start the 13th of January. It'll end the beginning of April?
Yeah, it's 30 legislative days within 105 calendar days. So it depends on how fast we go. So most days we're there 3 days, but there's typically a committee day on Wednesday and 2 legislative days, one on Tuesday and one on Thursday. Some weeks we're moving a little bit faster than that, where there are 3 legislative days. So you may have a Tuesday legislative day, committee day on Wednesday, that afternoon go on the floor, and then on Thursday another legislative day. So you can, and the law doesn't say you can't have as many as 5 or 6 or 7. In my time there, the 3's been the most that we've had in any given week. So that depends. The end date is 105 days after session starts, but that end date may not be on that 105th day. It may be before then.
So by law, both the House and the Senate, their only charge is really to pass a budget.
That's right. The education budget and general fund budget. 2 budgets.
Right. And that's basically it. You could do those 2 things and go home.
That's true.
So to speak.
Yeah.
But basically, we wind up with a session, like you say, so many days, and there's so many different things discussed. How does the average viewer out there know what are they going to be talking about next?
Yeah, well, the good thing about it is over the last year or so, and I don't have the website name, the name, but there's a website. It's Allison, but it's provided to the state, where you can go and watch what happens in committee meetings.
Yes, I've been
and online in the floor of the House and the Senate. It's a wonderful tool, not only for the public to be able to say, hey, what's going on? What are the topics that are being discussed? What are my senators or representatives? How are they reacting to this? How are they voting? But it's also an important tool for elected folks, because I'm not on every committee, right?
Right.
On several committees.
Yep.
And sometimes I don't hear the discussion about a particular bill that goes through somebody else's committee. So actually, from time to time, I will go back and listen to those other committee meetings to see what issues were brought up. Why did somebody vote against this? Is it a good bill? What should we do with it? So it's a benefit to all the elected folks as well.
So outside of the budgets, what would you say are going to be the priorities going into 2026? There are some must get done things.
Yeah.
I know there's been a lot of talk about insurance, both for a national level, and I know we get involved statewide also.
So I think one of the main topics that you heard last year will be a continued topic this year, and that is what's happening with crime and backing law enforcement. If you remember last year, the governor had, Governor Ivey's office had what she called a Back the Blue package. I was fortunate the governor asked me to carry a couple of those pieces of legislation. What that did was it said it took guns out of the hands of those convicted criminals who have been convicted and have had their rights taken away, gone through that legal process, and we're now gives them tools to prosecute people who continue to do bad things, right? That's number one. Number two, there was a bill that Representative Rex Reynolds and Senator Lance Bell had as a Back the Blue bill, and it basically said, we're going to set the criteria for what law enforcement, because we've seen law enforcement prosecuted in certain areas
Yes.
for things when they're doing their job,
Mhm.
and it's an effort to codify what law enforcement, what steps they can take in a given situation, so that we have some definitive statements about what a law enforcement officer can do when faced in a dangerous situation. Also had the speedy trial bill last year. I think in Montgomery County,
Yeah.
there were about 300 or so murders that are still sitting
Yeah, I know.
and had not been
On the
tried
shelf,
yet.
as
On
they
the
say.
shelf. That's
Yeah.
right. Lots of different reasons for that, and some valid reasons. Right, the Department of Forensic Science having to get information back. A lack of we need more district attorneys or assistant district attorneys to prosecute those cases, and some of them involve a lot of witnesses. So there is an understanding of why some of that's happening. But what the speedy trial did was said, okay, we've got these cases that are sitting there, these violent offenses, like those murder cases, for instance, in Montgomery, and we're going to allow either the DA or the AG to request from the Alabama Office of Courts to bring another judge in to try those cases.
And even a retired judge.
Even a retired judge.
Yeah.
So I carried that. That was a bill that was very instrumental. Steve Marshall's AG and Catherine Robertson is his chief of staff, chief deputy, worked very well with them to make sure that we got those bills through.
And just remember this, they're here to represent you. They do a great job in the state of Alabama, and we'll be right back right after this.